Welcome back to the Thassa and cEDH podcast. I'm Blake.
And I'm Chase, and today we're going to talk about Rhystic Study and Thassa's Oracle. Yeah. Every single time that music just plays in your head. So last week at this point, oh yeah, and by the way, by the time this episode comes out, happy Halloween, everyone. Because this comes out on Halloween.
It is Halloween.
Yeah.
This is Halloween. We are demonetized. Demonetized.
Disney's coming for our ass. But so last week, Gavin came out with some announcements regarding Commander. And we have not been able to kind of gather our thoughts. I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts and channels and things like that, kind of preparing to talk about this. And I still don't really know how to feel about everything that was talked about.
Have you taken a chance? Yeah, you did say you watched some other podcasts and stuff on the.
So far, I've listened to a little bit of critical stuff. Okay. Whenever they covered it last week on their Keeping Tabs.
Okay.
I'm sure they might talk about it still on this week's episode. I don't know. That's a prediction. We don't know. Our
predictions are good
now.
Though.
Our predictions are pretty good. I watched Ian's take on things.
I did see that
earlier. I think today I listened to Eisenhertz a little bit as well on things. And still just trying to process where things are going because I don't know. They're not making any big changes right now, but I do appreciate the fact that they're being open, at least with. Oh, and I listened to Rebel.
That's what I was about to ask.
I listened to Rebel as well. Just because I appreciate the openness and trying to, I guess, put some people at ease on where their thoughts and feelings are. But yeah, as far as how these changes truly impact us, I don't fully know just yet.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of interesting because, excuse me, I don't know how to feel about, I'm okay. Obviously, we've talked about this before, but I'm okay if bans happen in this format because, again, with most competitive formats, you're gonna see stuff get banned, and I understand that that's just kind of how things go, but I would want my biggest problem is I want bans for the format, not we catch strays because of what people consider fun or not fun in the casual side of the game. Because I'm not gonna lie, even we did the episode talk with Ty Ohio and we talked, but man, I'm somebody that played a lot of casual Commander.
Right.
And this isn't true for every play group, but we always had problems with stuff. It did not matter what, it wasn't just one card. It would always be a certain strategy or certain whatever. And we would try to be okay, we won't play that strategy. We'll take it away. We'll do this. And eventually it just kind of came down to whoever was playing Big Green Stompy was in the right. And whoever wasn't was a bad person.
Yeah.
And should burn their deck. And it just sucked, dude. It sucked. But, and even some Big Green Stompy decks were not fun, not fair, whatever, So I don't know. I personally like where the format is at. I think that a lot of players said, "Oh, we see a Rhystic Study problem," and people have been getting very greedy.
Right.
And now we are seeing, which we just covered the Fishbowl 6. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. Dude, people are playing turbo. They're going fast.
Yeah.
And when people are going fast, Rhystic don't really matter. You know what I mean? I like the fact that we have the option to go quick or play that mid-range game. I feel when mid-range is kind of the predominant thing, it shows that there's health in a format.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I know I'm kind of already diving a little bit too into the discussion before we even talk about what happened. But do you want to kind of go over what all has been said?
Just very briefly on some of the stuff. So as far as if you haven't gone on to Wizards website and kind of look at the breakdown, there is an article on there. I know Gavin actually posted a video on his personal YouTube page channel kind of explaining each thing. So like if you want more in-depth things on that stuff specifically, go check those resources out. We'll probably drop them down below. But they made mostly comments, just kind of doing some readjustments with the bracket system and kind of redefining some things. Kind of toying around with the idea of even including a sixth bracket somewhere like around that 2 to 3 ish or 3 to 4 ish range, which is kind of neat. It's kind of interesting. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities for people that they may not want to play cEDH, but they still want to play something that is strong. Like maybe if we went back based on the old, is your power level 10 or not? Maybe somewhere somewhere between a 4 to 7 range that maybe the bracket 3 just wasn't fully covering. And I actually appreciate that they went through and put some more details onto the bracket 4, because before it was optimized was basically a carbon copy of what cEDH is, right?
Yeah, I think the description was just cEDH.
Yeah, there's no details whatsoever. The main difference it was meta and mindset, pretty much. And so being able to go through and really kind of flesh these out before I think they're still kind of beta testing these ideas and really wanting feedback from the community on things. And speaking of feedback, I forgot to mention this on the breakdown for Wednesday, but if you go on EDH Top 16, we saw it on there, and we'll probably put a link down in the description below for this. There is a survey on Top Deck. So wanting feedback from the cEDH community, whether or not Rhystic Study, Thassa's Oracle are problematic, or what cards you would like to see banned, things like that. If you have not gone on there and taken that survey, please go ahead and do that, because it's not only Wizards and Gavin that's wanting our interest or our opinions in this space. Top Deck is making efforts right now to kind of help provide a voice for the community, I think, in that way. So go ahead and fill out that survey. It literally takes less than 2 minutes to do. And so, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that. But yeah, clearly defining what these brackets are. That was I think one of the main things for this. There was some discussions on some game changer stuff. They removed some pieces. I don't remember if they actually put anything on there, but they removed quite a few things. I think one of which that you'll be happy about was Yuriko. They removed Yuriko from the game changers because just like Trouble in Pairs, Yuriko is not a game changer.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. But they also removed pieces like Deflecting Swat and Food Chain.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which is kind of interesting, but they basically said Deflecting Swat wasn't on the same level of some of the other free interactive spells like Force of Will and Fierce Guardianship that are still on it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can almost argue that it kind of is in a way, but it's only whenever it's paired with other decks that are running blue, specifically Rogsai and Blue Farm and things like that. Whereas your other decks is just a free interactive spell that to kind of protect those decks that are missing the blue piece. That's the way I kind of view it, at least. And then Food Chain, even though they even said Food Chain is an incredibly powerful combo card. However, because it's a combo card, it doesn't risk causing problem in the lower brackets anywhere. Or yeah, anywhere. Probably meant anyway. So they recognize it as a combo piece, but it's not going to be a piece that is already in the lower brackets, or at least shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Which I think is why the focus of today is mostly the Rhystic, for us at least, is the Rhystic Study and the Thassa's Oracle, because it's apparently making waves as problems in lower brackets.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing. And it adds to the point you were saying of almost why is it that cEDH is getting penalized in a way? Mm-hmm. Because people are either not having those discussions, the Rule Zero discussions, or they're not constructing their decks appropriately, or they're trying to really test the boundaries of what each bracket can do, which I'm all for, but do that at a bracket 3 tournament, right? Do it in that, or if they have bracket 2, bracket 1 tournaments. I highly doubt that they do.
Yeah.
But the purpose of those brackets is not for them not to be cEDH. Like,
Yeah.
don't be that person that's going to show up at your locals and everyone expecting to play 2 and 3, and then you are intentionally just trying to pub stomp to the point where you're including pieces that everyone knows in those brackets is too overpowered, and then that's the person that kind of ruins things for
Yeah.
what we are trying to do in the cEDH space.
I feel like one of the issues with that though, and I will say, like I don't know that like there are people out there that are just trying to pub stomp, and that's obviously like fuck you, you're an asshole.
And it happens
But
at all the brackets. Like, it's
yes,
just part of the game,
absolutely.
right?
Well, except for cEDH, I don't think anybody's like coming into it. If you're trying to come pub stomp in cEDH, please come play a game with us, because like
Unless your name is Brandon, you play short guy, and
then you will pub stomp us. But
yes,
it's what it is. But like, no, I honestly don't know. I always try to take conversations like that with a grain of salt, because I think that I hear a lot of stories of instances where people like are going and like pub stomping.
yeah,
But in reality, like they may literally just be building a deck that for them is like fun, and it does meet the criteria of that bracket. And then maybe their play group is like on board with that play style, and then they show up to like an LGS. You're talking to total strangers. You have no idea, because you've never been exposed to that. You don't know that your deck is like just way better than other people's decks, and then you just crush them. And people go, "This fucking guy was pub stomping," and he's like, "Dude, I really didn't I didn't know." You know what I mean? Like there have been a lot of times where like I've showed up to LGSs and I was trying to play casual commander. I just had some decks with me, and I had a deck that I was like, oh yeah, this would meet every criteria of bracket 3. And there was another dude who's also every criteria of bracket 3. His deck was way better than mine, and he ended up doing an infinite like a little bit later in the game and won the game. And everybody was like, huh. And I was okay with it, because I mean, I'm a cEDH player. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. And other people were like, well, that just kind of seems like not fun. And it's like, well, I get that you thought that was like a little anticlimactic of a win, because it wasn't like I didn't crater hoof and fucking stomp your teeth in, but he didn't win before turn whatever, maybe turn like 8 or whatever.
yeah.
He
abided by the rules.
Absolutely, used 3 card combo that ended up never tutored for any of it. It just kind of happened. Like, you just got lucky. You know what I mean? Like, it was every criteria. But then the people that we were playing with didn't necessarily feel great about how it ended, because like you're explaining an infinite to somebody and they're just like, well, that's anticlimactic. You take infinite turns and just kill whatever. But it still they literally, for them, that was fun. They were like, my deck did the thing. But some people just are not going to be satisfied with, if you don't win via this strategy, I don't like it. Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that everybody's that way. I don't want people to think that like,
but I think it's definitely an issue. You could see it every bracket level though.
Oh, for sure. Well, and again, I think that's why I like cEDH so much, because coming from someone that did play casually, especially with my friends, we always had issues figuring out how to make everybody happy during a game, because I think that there is kind of this natural progression of like the arms race of you in reality, it would be really tough to strike the perfect balance of all 4 players in a friend group are winning 25% of the time. Like, in reality, one person's winning a little more than another person, or somebody's winning a lot more than another person, or these people may be winning an equal amount of times, but then this person's not winning very often at all. And what happens is this person powers their deck up, and then in order for everybody else to keep up, they kind of do that too. And then it happens again, and again, and again, and eventually you find yourself at bracket 4, and then eventually you will find yourself into bracket 5. I love cEDH because the rule 0 discussion is like kind of already there for you. You just like look at the comp rel, whatever REL rule set, look at, and then cool, like whatever, I'm allowed to play whatever I want, and whatever happens. With the lower pods, we literally had times where like we would meet up to play, and we would spend twice as much time talking about what we were going to be allowed to play in the game as we would like playing the game.
Right.
And then when we would leave, I would get phone calls from both parties pissed off because of what the other person played, or like this person played something and this person was like not okay with what the other person played, and then this person's mad because the person was upset that they played what they played. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, no. It's so interesting. I feel like it goes back to our like previous episodes where we've talked about like casual versus like competitive mindsets and like things like that. And I know we're gonna catch shit for this. I'll catch shit for this, but it almost feels like there's so many more like feels bad moments in casual
there are
than there are feel good moments, and it's like the opposite of that in our space. Like the biggest things I feel like that people are truly like concerned about in cEDH right now. It's the draws, the seed order. What are you laughing about over
I
there?
just think it's so funny now that you say that, because you said the draws, and I literally was thinking it's funny that I feel like in casual play, and I'm not shitting on casual players. I don't want people to think that,
I'll
but
do it.
I feel like in
We did
casual,
last week a little bit with
whatever. But I think that in casual play, people are kind of upset that people are winning a certain way, and in our format, we're upset that people aren't winning. We're like,
yeah, no, that's my point.
off
Like we literally have like the opposite problem of
Yeah.
it, right? Where it's like we're like upset more at the draws, and then the issues with the seed order, which I'm hoping that based on our lineup that we've been talking about of special guests, I'm hoping to talk to one person in particular on that one, but we'll see if we can get them on here or not. And then like the lying.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, yeah, obviously the cheating stuff. And I know a lot of people. Oh, God, I'm going to address this real quick. I know in the episode we did with Kellen, first, you couldn't see our beautiful faces. Sorry about that. That's my fault. But but the other part is a lot of people were saying that, you know, we started off talking about cheating and then we more so like talked about lying as like the main thing. Like I kind of feel like they kind of have to coexist a little bit. Like, yeah, like technically lying is not against the rules of the game, right? And I'm not good. We don't have to dive into all that, but I don't think one can exist without the other.
I think that people conflate. This is an issue that I think happens with a lot of stuff. People use different terminology to explain different things. Like we use the term TDH, and some people go, "That's not a thing." But for us, it's just a term that we have then placed meaning behind. Of like, for us, TDH is like playing meta decks, and then also the game is being taken very serious. Like it's treated like we're in a tournament, and also you're playing at like a high level, and you're using it as an opportunity to like prepare yourself for, you know what I mean? So like, yes, it's still cEDH, but we just use that term as like a way to signify like, hey, this is what we're talking about. I think that a lot of people think that when we talk about lying, we mean like bluffing. You don't have to reveal information. Like people can just ask, do you have win in hand? And you can be like, I'm not going to reveal that, or I don't want to reveal that. You don't have to do that.
But that's what I'm saying too. Like literally with the rules of the game, you can say no and then just jam it anyway.
You can, yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I also think that everybody has the right to look and be like, that dude's an asshole because he lied. Like you don't have to say yes or no.
Yeah.
You can just be the person that's like, I'm not going to give you any information.
Just as much as someone could look at someone and go, that dude's an asshole because he cheated.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Just like that.
So, but yeah, I think that those are like the bigger things as far as that need to continue to be addressed within our space, as opposed to whether or not, you know, oh, the bracket says this, or I'm going to feel bad because people didn't follow the guidelines. cEDH is fair game, right? Yeah. And someone will take that and go, well, lying is fair game. And you're absolutely right.
You're right, absolutely.
You're right.
But me calling you an asshole is also fair game.
Yes.
So fuck you. No,
so not if you do that, Blake is going to throw you at a fucking event. So
outside the event, I can't be getting banned. No.
He wants that one ring first.
Hell yeah!
But
I just got that from the list.
So I just want to kind of clarify that. Like we understood, we went on a discussion on like the lying as opposed to actual cheating, but I think that both are very relevant to the context of the issues that are going on in our space at the moment. But going back to these things, you know, they more so clearly defined the brackets. They took some things off the game changers and very briefly touching on the game changer stuff. Like as we were talking about things that are being banned or taking off the ban list, things like that, especially next year, because they're not doing anything else. You know, I think they've upheld that. Like they're being very transparent on things, but they from the beginning of this, they said game changers is going to be the list you want to look at if anything is going to be banned.
Yeah, it's like a warning. Somewhere.
And now we have two very clear things that are more so on the radar that have been on the game changers since the beginning, and that's what we're going to talk about mostly today. And then like the last point is like the hybrid mana stuff that they discussed. I don't necessarily know how to feel about it. I was watching. I think it was an episode. It was from MTG Goldfish earlier today, talking about like how this could be like a really good thing in lower brackets because now you open up more possibilities for deck construction and like some really interesting things. I don't know how big or impactful this is actually going to be on cEDH, but like even before we started recording, like I told you, like my first thought going to this is like, do you really want to see like a Manamorphose, or like, not saying to do it, but like a Vexing Shusher in Rogsai,
Yeah.
right? Where what basically you could take out Defense Grid and put in the Vexing Shusher. Like, yeah, Defense Grid gives you a little bit more extra protection, but the Vexing Shusher is uncounterable. It's a creature. A lot of people aren't running full on spot removal or onboard interaction to deal with creatures right now. That person can pick and choose what spells get countered and what doesn't, and they protect their own win if they have enough mana, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just throwing that out there as an example because there's not, like, Manamorphose, I think, is a really, really good card. Vexing is, like, it's good in certain decks, but even to some extent, most people aren't even playing it. I'm playing it in flubs, if that tells you anything about that card in particular. But the fact that Manamorphose, like, you can literally color fix and draw a card, and it can start going in Blue Farm, Rogsai, Dardu, like...
Yeah.
Like at that point, it's just like that might be a little too much in our space.
Well, but I think my biggest problem with that, and I'm kind of indifferent on that. I don't really know. Like I'll adapt to whatever. I don't want people to think that we're just like two guys bitching and complaining, being like, if this happens, we're done. Like
go back to casual nerds, bitch about it at that.
Yeah, like I don't care. Like I will adapt to whatever. But I do think it's weird because like the card still has the color identity of both colors. Like if I go to counter the spell, and if I had a spell that said counter target red spell, why the fuck am I countering a red spell in a deck that doesn't technically have access to red? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like let's say you're playing, Gruul, but you're like, I want to play Vexing Shusher. And then
what?
Like not Gruul, you're playing Golgari. Sorry, you're playing Golgari.
I was supposed to say.
I know. I was thinking of the card into the card.
You can play Vexing Shusher and Gruul.
Yes, you can. Yeah, but no, you're playing Golgari, and then you're like, yeah, but I'm jamming this fucking Vexing Shusher, and like I don't know, somebody tries to fucking hit it with it's on the board, and somebody goes, oh, Blue Blast, and it's like, why the hell am I hitting a red spell on a Golgari player's board? Like that doesn't make sense. So yeah. I think for me, it causes a little bit more confusion for people. Like whenever I built one of my first decks, I was playing a mono blue deck, and I was like, oh, I could add this card into it because it had and somebody was like, no, you can't. And I was like, well, why not? And they're like, well, the color identity thing, it counts as both. And at first I thought that was a little bit weird, and then I was like, oh, I get it now. Like it's not just because of the pips, like the actual color, like the permanent itself is like blue and black. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like that makes way more sense. It wouldn't make sense for me to be playing a mono blue deck and then I've got this random blue black permanent in there, even though I can use the pips for whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think that I don't know, I can see it going both ways. I personally just think it makes things fucking confusing. Like and it also just will make stuff weird because I don't know. Like again, I don't know how to explain it, but like I think that as a player, it makes sense to me. It's like, oh, it has wed, and I can't play wed in my deck. I don't need red. But if...
Did you say wed?
Yeah. I can't play wed, so I don't need this wed card in my deck. But then somebody's going to be like, no, you can actually do that. And they're going to be like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I think that, like, I'm not opposed to it for lower brackets. I think in our format where, like... It just, I don't know. I think that it kind of breaks a little bit of the deck construction for what we are trying to do, and I think it goes with what you're saying. Like it's very confusing.
Yeah.
And I get it. And even listening to that episode from them, like talking about like hybrid cards in the past have been more things to like fix game mechanics or like set mechanics and like things like that. Like that totally makes sense. But I don't think it's really fitting in our space specifically. So, with that being said, let's get into these two cards.
Oh, yeah.
I think that let's start with the second one they listed.
What, Thassa?
Yeah, let's start with Thassa's Oracle. Because this is... I'll read off what they said. They said...
I thought you were going to read the card. I was going to be like, it doesn't matter.
No, I think everyone almost everyone knows what Thassa's Oracle does until that's the only thing they resolve, and not the Tainted Pact or the Demonic Consultation. And then they have to read the rest of the card to actually figure out what it does. So we'll throw it up there one way or another, so that way you all can read it. But so in the article, they said this card is pervasive in the highest brackets of Commander as a way of instantaneously win the game alongside something like Demonic Consultation or Tainted Pact. From what we could tell, and from competitive Commander players, it's mixed as to if people like this or not. But one thing we don't have great visibility into is how often it's showing up at more casual tables. In your bracket 3 or unbracketed casual games, are a lot of them ending with Thassa's Oracle? We would love to know. Right now, we don't think there's enough evidence to take any action here. So, obviously, like it says, it's not banning it right now, but it's interesting because they don't have enough like they're pointing out two things very clearly. They don't have enough data on it pretty much, or people's insight from it at lower brackets.
Yeah.
Which you would think that this would be where most people have the biggest issue with it. Because it is just blue, you win the game.
Yeah.
Right? And again, it goes back to that point that we talked about earlier, where if you're playing cards like this in like bracket 2, bracket 3, these lower brackets that are designed to go longer, and they've very clearly laid things out, and you're just trying to jam a Thassa's win, like, it kind of makes everyone feel bad. And kind of, but I mean, like if you're not breaking the rules of those brackets, like, yeah, you can still do it. But I can understand where it could be an issue in casual. The thing is, then they address it, the very first paragraph, they address it more so in our space, where it's talking about just like it being an instantaneous win and people having a very mixed opinion on it.
I think personally, this is just me, I can understand how. This is going to bring up like two discussions. I don't want to derail this, but I think the very first thing is I want to touch on it from like the casual perspective. I can see how as a casual player you would look at this card and go, this is busted. Like,
yeah,
this is so broken. Oh my gosh. Like, because again, in casual play, you have to assemble these crazy synergies that eventually like, and you can't really tutor for it, and you got to find it, and then you find like these cards that slowly synergize, and then you have this like big crazy storm off turn, tons of mana, boom, I killed somebody with my big old creature, and then I got punched by the player after me because I didn't leave up blockers, and I'm dead because they had the same kind of board or what, you know what I mean? Like, I can understand how like just looking in, it's like, oh, blue black, you win the game, what the hell? Like, really, 3 mana, that's it, you win the game?
Yeah.
And I can understand that, but I think that we should honestly make a video about this, because I would love to, not the Thassa thing, but I would love to talk about some of the most common like misconceptions people have for cEDH. Like, I think that I think before this channel was a cEDH channel, it was a casual EDH channel. We made videos on casual EDH, and
there was no we to that.
Well, no, not you.
And then I came along and I said, "Fuck that."
Well, I canceled that channel very quickly. But one of my buddies, like we made casual EDH videos, and I remember having opinions and actively talking about cEDH as if I knew what the fuck cEDH was. And then now, as a cEDH player and content creator, I didn't have a fucking clue what cEDH was back then. I go back and look at some of those opinions and takes that I had, and I'm like, what an idiot. And you just don't know. Like, it's like people think like when you say like, oh, you're ignorant, they're like, oh, that's mean. But it literally just means not knowing. I was ignorant as shit back then. Like, I just did not know. I thought I knew what cEDH was. I didn't. It is what it is. But I think that a lot of people have these like strong misconceptions on like what cEDH is. Like, is Thassa Consult a fun win con? For a lot of people, no. Like, I don't think too many people hear I won with Thassa and they go, oh, that's so cool. Like, it's typically not. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody just resolves raw dog Thassa Consult, ta-da, that's it, and it was early, people go, oh, you have those. And like, it's not the most fun thing. Like, a Dargo turn is way more fun. Like, doing Dargo loops, and it's way more fun. I remember the first time I resolved a Dargo win, and I was like, that's a high that I'll be chasing forever. Like, that was fun. But it's the thing that's fun. What's fun about a Thassa win is like the story leading up to how it happened. Like, it's never the, oh yeah, I don't want Thassa's Oracle. No, it's like, no, there was this huge fucking stack. Chase had to edit this like crazy stack, and then it was so long that he had to shift it up, and then we added more stuff to it. And I
never wanted to do that again.
I drew through my deck, and I was gonna be able to resolve Thassa's Oracle with the stack still high because Born Upon the Wind. But then this fucking Mardu deck cracked an E zone and then won over top of me. You know what I mean? Like it happens. Like, but it's the story that leads up to it that's like, wow, that's cool. It's not the I want Thassa. If you just say that, like, yeah, nobody's gonna be like, oh, well, oh, and like, so I think that I can understand how people on the outside would be like, that's boring.
Right.
And I can understand how some people on the inside would be like, that's boring. But I think that for diversity's sake, if you, like, most people winning with Thassa Consult are not just winning with, like, Thassa Consult. Like,
right.
They've already had the game won forever ago. Like, people winning with Thassa a lot of the time are like, Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, Loop, blah, and then they do this crazy thing. And even now, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I lost to Blue Farm in the tournament recently, and Corbin literally was like, yeah, I could do the Thassa thing, but I think the safer bet is I'm just gonna Brain Freeze you all out, and then I'm just gonna put Fairy Mastermind activation on the stack. And, like, that's how he won. And, like, a lot of people are moving to that. You're seeing a lot more decks pick up Finale as, like, Infinite Mana, Finale, Devastation, win the game. Not even playing Thassa. They got access to blue. They don't play Thassa. You've got decks that are like cEDH that they tested Thassa Consult for a bit, and a lot of them just came right back off of the combo. They were like, oh, I don't really know about it. Yeah. Some of them are still on it, but some of them are like, I don't really know about it.
Yeah, like the hybrid clam chowder.
Yeah.
I'm still on it as well, even within mine. But, like,
yeah,
I get the point in what you're saying is, like,
it's not necessarily fun, but I don't think it's broken.
No, I don't think it is either. I think the thing with Thassa, and I agree with you entirely, like, it's the lead up and the build up to it. And another thing too, it's kind of like the only card that really helps some of these decks, like especially in the way that the shift in our meta is currently going. Like, it would be different if it was like how Standard is right now, where like a fuck ton of the meta is like the Vivi Cauldron deck and like things like that. Like, and they didn't even ban anything in Standard in this last rotation, which is kind of nuts if most people are having issues with it.
Yeah.
Or, like, it would be like how you've talked about the horror stories of Yu-Gi-Oh! If everyone was playing this one particular deck. And, a few months ago, like before the Invitational, like, yeah, you could have said Blue Farm, Rockthrash. These are the two decks that everyone is playing right now, and if you're not playing those, then good luck, right? And Blue Farm is still very prominent. And it's just like we talked about on Wednesday, it seems like Rockthrash is starting to drop off because everyone is trying to push more towards this very turbo-y thing. If someone resolves like a turn 1, turn 2 Thassa's, demonic or Thassa's Tainted Pact, good for them because, you got there faster than the Rao deck or the Atali or things like that. And guess what? It kept your Blue Farm deck in the game. You won because no one else was prepared for it.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, those turn 1, turn 2s, it can happen, but the likelihood of that happening is very, very slim.
Mm-hmm.
But you remove Thassas, and then what decks do you actually cut out of the format doing that? Not really many.
No,
I don't really feel like you cut that many out.
I honestly think, thinking like just honestly, like straight up about most of the decks that are at the top right now, I don't think most of them are using Thassa as like the main win thing. Like, it's an option, but they don't even need it. Like, Blue Farm does not need Thassa. Most of them, any one tutor in that deck turns into Breach, and then Breach just reuses the tutor to go get the other piece, and then you do the Brain Freeze loop, and you can still win that way. So it doesn't even need it. Literally, Atali can't use it. It can, but it doesn't use it.
It can.
It can. Rogthrash,
you have a way to flash, do all the Atali stuff in response to Thassa's ETB. And
but like Rogthrash not using it. Kennan's not using it. Rogsai can use it, but again, mainly Underworld Breach and Wheels. Like, that's kind of them's the dice. So, like, again, not really using it. I'm trying to think of like what else is in the top. cEDH. I don't know if I said cEDH, but
cEDH still does at times, yeah.
Occasionally, but like even then, like, it's what Tivit can. Tivit's like probably the biggest deck that does. I don't even know if Tivit's in the top 10 right now.
No,
but like Tivit or Marnie is either one. Like, yeah, like that's kind of Esper's win con and Demir decks. Like, that's kind of their win con.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those are the kind of decks you hurt more than anything else, because like it's like we talked about before. Like, especially in our videos where we've covered Blue Farm, there's a lot of them, but it's like that deck in particular is so resilient that like you cut that, what they're gonna? I mean, they could add Lab Man if they
Why
wanted to.
though? Yeah.
They're not going to because they still have Underworld Breach stuff, you know. And I'm not even saying that Underworld Breach is a problem. We've had that kind of discussion before. Like it's a very very strong card, but it's like you get rid of Underworld Breach, they just lean heavier into the Thassa's. Like you got to have a win con somewhere, right? So, but like, you know, you cut Thassa's, it does not hurt blue form whatsoever. It probably doesn't even cut or hurt Rogsai. You literally hurt the Esper decks. You hurt all the Sultai decks.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you just don't play Sultai in cEDH if Thassa's gets cut.
Yeah, I don't know why you would.
Like and that's a color combination that's even struggling right now anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just like
yeah. Well, that's kind of the thing. The decks that are relying on Thassa Consult as the win con are struggling because I think that that's sort of the tough thing about like the decks that do that tend to be more control because it's tough to it is a 2-card win condition that requires you to like you have to find both pieces. Sure, sometimes you're going to hard draw them, but that means you're going to have to like use all these tutors to go and find the pieces. You don't get access again to stuff like Breach where it just basically says abuse this tutor over and over and over and over and over. They don't have access to intuition lines like some of these other decks do where you can literally just like boom, one tutor gets you all the pieces you need. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's why you're seeing a lot of your Sultai lists are like Glorb are control lists. Most of your Esper lists are going to be control lists.
Yep.
Like very rarely I feel like you're going to see like a turbo Esper deck because they're just not going to be as good as the other turbo decks. You're just going to be bad at turbo. I mean, it's honestly true.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm a Necro deck. I'm literally a deck that gets to cast Necropotence for free. I don't even cast it.
Yeah, your deck is not a...
I could be, but I'm not. Exactly. You're right. Zur is notoriously known for Necropotence, and I don't do the Necro plan.
You're part of the reason why the other card is in the discussion
we'll talk
today.
About that in a minute. But yeah, I think that if anything, you hurt the non-red decks.
Yeah. That and like...
Well, like, and Simic.
Well,
the
like
non-red and Simic decks.
This ban potentially hurts other decks, right? Because some of the other synergies, you can play them. Like you can play Labman, you can play the Jace Welder Mysteries. You just why would you?
Yeah,
is the question. Like this is the more efficient, like obviously the most efficient combo in the format, but it's not a problem because like everyone's already prepared for it. Ready for it. They're either trying to deal with the main combo that gets to it, or because everyone's jamming, if someone just happens to naturally draw into this or have it in their opening hand and they just jam it and they win, guess what? That kind of resolves some of the draw issue.
Fuck yeah.
Like if they had a way of slotting this into board decks and getting it there faster, like resolve the draw issue, or rounds going to time. Like,
turn the blue pips into hybrid pips. No,
yes. No. Dardu just starts playing fucking Thassa's Oracle. Yeah. But no, I don't know. I've kind of thought a lot about this one. And I have said in the past, like I've gone on record in our previous videos, especially at the beginning of the year when we started the channel, of like if you wanted to potentially shake up the format, these are the 2 cards to look at. But at this point we're at now, I don't think it really even matters, because back then it was we're grinding out and Rhystic Study is drawing a bunch of cards, Thassa's Oracle, like literally like if it was like it was at the beginning of the year where you had Blue Farm, TNT as like your main 2 decks and like there was no like variety in the format and everyone was just gravitating towards that, and then Blue Form was taking up like 50-60% of the meta. Like I could almost see a reason why, just for the sake of just trying to shake things up, and Wizards does that at times. I think where we're at now, it doesn't even put a dent. Like this card in particular, Thassa's Oracle, doesn't put a dent in making a change in the format. So I don't think it's a very problematic thing. And if people are worried about it, like run other pieces that are going to interact with it a little bit more. Like, I saw in Critical's Discord earlier today, for example, I think it was just from like where it shows their Twitter posts. Like, I think they had made a post of like Strict Serenade is a very underrated card and more decks should be playing it. Yeah, I agree with that because I play it in Sisse and it hits the main threats. But where we're seeing all this shift in like a very creature heavy meta, like if you even think of like Dardu, it's a lot of creature synergies,
Yep.
right? If we're looking at the cradle farm or tree farm decks, whatever it is, it's mostly creature stuff. Sisay is still a lot of creature stuff. Blue farm has picked up more and more creatures, a lot of creature stuff. Ral, if you think about it, that's what happened to me at a game against Biddy the other day. Cast Ral, and I strict serenaded it. Like, if you want to survive against a Ral deck or an Atali deck, one blue, strict serenade. Like, have pieces that are going to deal with that and can interact with it more appropriately rather than taking it off the list. That's kind of where I'm at, or like banning it. That's kind of where I'm at, because I think including pieces like that in decks is more impactful and can shake things up, because and shows that you're adjusting to the meta a little bit more effectively, rather than going, this card's a problem, let's get rid of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too. They talk about how it seems like it was a design mistake, and like maybe I don't know. Like I get it, dude, but it's just a bad card. Like it sucks. I go on record all the time saying it's the worst card in my list, but I play it because it is like the win condition.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Like I hate seeing it in my hand without the other piece. Like it's not a good card. That's why so many lists have cut it. Like Kennen literally is called no bad cards, and it does not run Thassa. Right. Like it is what it is. But I don't know. I think I'm more for diversity of win cons rather than like just banning a bunch of stuff. Honestly, I think that if you really wanted to shake up the format the most, I'm not saying that they should do this. I'm not saying I want this, not agreeing with this. But I think if they truly wanted to ban 2 cards that would shake up our format the most, Rhystic and Breach would completely shake shit up, in my opinion. But I also think by doing that, you solidify that Kennen is the best deck.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that. So, do you have anything else on Thassa's?
Nope.
Are you ready to go to Rhystic? You just brought it up.
Sure.
Like, those are the 2 biggest things. So I'm going to read off what they said about Rhystic Study. They said, "This is a very iconic commander card. Do You Pay the One is baked into so many references around the format. It's one of the most snowbally card advantage engines in all of Commander. Many casual games where it's played let the Rhystic player run away with the game as people just cast spells into it. At higher bracket play like cEDH, it causes huge issues. However, as far as we can tell, it's loved by many. It's not quite as iconic as to the format as Sol Ring, but it's not that far off either. Is Commander more fun with Rhystic Study in it? Is there a world where it moves from being a game changer to being banned? To be clear, our current thinking around this leans towards no, as it's just so iconic for casual Commander. But if you have thoughts, we'd love to hear from you." I don't know. Is Rhystic Study like iconic for casual Commander? I don't know if that's true per se.
I think it's iconic for Commander.
I think it is iconic for Commander. I think
if you want me to be really honest, man, look, this is the thing. I think if they really want to hit like this, I'm not saying this to be an asshole because I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I honestly think that if they really cared about hitting things that are not necessarily like problematic, but things that are like powerful, then there's a lot of cards that would deserve to be like on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Like fucking Sol Ring. It's an iconic card. They talk about it's in everything. It's a very powerful card. If they're looking at powerful cards, then sure. I get powerful, problematic, different thing, but I think that yes, Rhystic Study it can be problematic for sure. And I'm not pretending like Rhystic Study is not a problem, because I literally have built my whole fucking deck around it. I think that a lot of decks do that. I think that a lot of these decks that we see right now, like you kind of have to do one of 2 things. You either have to be drawing cards or making a fuck ton of mana.
Yeah.
And I think that the problem, again, dude, I'm going to be real honest with you. I think that like Esper is a good example of this. Like Esper doesn't make a lot of mana. It can draw the shit out of some cards.
Yeah.
You know a color that can draw way more cards than that? Somehow, I don't fucking understand how. Azorius. Like, Azorius draws a fuck ton of cards. I don't understand how they do it. I don't get it. They drop black, and then all of a sudden they get access to a shit ton of card draw. Plagon, fucking Shorkai, all these decks. But it's just crazy to me. Like, people are trying to fix their mana or draw cards. And then, ideally, you want to be doing both.
Yeah.
Kennen kind of went that direction. Kennen makes you a ton of mana. So then people said, okay, what are we missing? stuff to do with that mana. So then they added in a fuck ton of card draw effects. People in like blue form said, "Oh, we have access to a shit ton of draw engines. How do we fix the mana problem? Smothering Tithe and like the Breach LED stuff and things like that. Like people are trying to fix one of two problems. I think that a lot of decks out there struggle in the draw and cards department, and Rhystic Study kind of helps fix that problem for a ton of decks. And then other decks just realize I'm not gonna be able to do that at all. So I'm just gonna fucking combo, and they just put their win cons in the zone. Like everybody's operating on these like different axes and different fronts and whatever. But I think that yes, Rhystic can absolutely like snowball. But like I literally was in a game the other day where like Tim literally like Gold Sabertooth, he literally let a blue farm player draw his entire deck through a Rhystic Study casting Squee, and the dude drew his entire deck and didn't have a single answer for what he was doing. And then he proceeded to win the game with Rocco. Like, it just is what it is. Yeah. Dude literally drew his entire deck, had no answers.
Well, but I think that adds to that point that I made a little bit ago about Thassa's Oracle in particular, like just going back to the point, not the card.
Yeah.
Right? Is if you think about it, how many spells, like, we'll just use Blue Farm as an example, or you can think of Xur, okay? How many spells do you think you're currently running that deal with creatures on the stack?
Deal with creatures on the stack?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like are you talking about like counter spells?
Things like that. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Probably just like what? Force of Will, Mind Break Trap, Pact of Negation? Those are the main ones?
Yeah, I think that's
I think those like
MBT, would you say MBT, Force, and then Pact?
Yeah.
I think so.
Like, think about that for a second in the example that you used. Tim didn't give a fuck. Like, if you weren't drawing that MBT, like if you'd already used it or whatever, or he's in red, he's fucking Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blaster or whatever. Like, you know, obviously,
what are you gonna do? Exile
or Rocco,
Squee?
they go into exile or command zone, so it doesn't really help. Like, but if you let the player just draw out everything and they don't have the resources to be able to do Born Upon the Wind, Thassa's Oracle, or anything like that, like, there's not enough things in the deck to deal with the creature stuff on the stack. And I think that's kind of why I was adding that point earlier. Like, people are just jamming through Rhystic Studies in some of these, either the creature-based decks or the things like Ral. So Ral and Tali probably being the prime examples, or even like the Dargo Temna stuff, because the creature two of them are creature combo stuff. Ral sees so many cards that it's gonna draw into its counters and interaction anyway, and be able to cast them for free to be able to deal with the rest of the table, right? I think that the thing with Rhystic Study is, yeah, it's a very good card draw engine. I have also gone on record of saying this before. I think it promotes a lot of really bad, unhealthy play patterns.
I agree with that.
I think that people are very negligent when it comes to Rhystic Study at times.
Are you saying like playing into it?
Yes.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like, yeah, there's a point in the game, like even in, I'm going back to your example of using Tim there. I don't think he's being negligent in that. I think it's just he knows that it doesn't fucking matter.
At that point, jams it. He's the guy literally can win. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. Whereas some of these other decks, like, they're afraid to jam into the Rhystic Studies, or like even look at the way you play Xur. Like, you try to resolve like 2 or 3 copies of it, kind of basing it off the no bad cards Kennen list. Kennen, 2 or 3 copies of Rhystic Study. Like, it doesn't have to have it. It's very clearly shown that it doesn't have to have that game plan in the deck. Same thing with cEDH. I've gone on record before, and you've made fun of me for it. Like, I'm debating on cutting Rhystic Study because cEDH doesn't want to draw cards. But I think a lot of people, like, kind of just choose not to play around it, and that's one of the things that they addressed in the article as far as like at casual tables. Like, people just let people draw cards for no reason. We've been in a lot of games where people drop like a 0-drop like rock, and they don't pay for the Rhystic Study, and then they just ship the turn. Like, the fuck you doing? Like, if you're not gonna do anything with it, pay for the Rhystic Study.
Well,
like,
see,
I'm sorry that you're afraid to, but like,
I think that Rhystic is one of like I understand. I totally get what you're saying, and I think that yes, like it can create negligent like play pattern. Like people can be very negligent with it. And again, I'm not sitting here pretending that it's not a problem. Like I don't want anybody to like mistake that. I understand it's a problem. There's a reason I built my whole deck around it because I know it's a problem and I want it to be the problem. But you know, it just is what it is, dude. But I really do think that it's just because you can build a deck around it doesn't mean that you're the top shit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
My whole deck is built around resolving Rhystic Studies. And
I think realistically right now in the format, Necropotence is kind of more of an issue than Rhystic Study is.
Yeah.
Because of how fast it enables things. And plus, everyone's trying to win on top of a win. So things like Born Upon the Wind or Cracking the Emergent Zone or Valley Floodcaller or High Fade Trickster, like that, it's way more efficient and it's way faster. Yeah. And it doesn't give a fuck about Rhystic Studies or anything else.
Well, I also think that people need to realize that, like, think about, okay, yes, like, they talk about Rhystic, you know, being on the field and these crazy stack battles and blah, blah, and all this stuff. For every player that wins that stack battle, there are 2 to 3 other players that also had Rhystic Studies that lost that stack battle.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean. Like, sure. Yes, like, it can help people run away with the game. We just had a game on the channel where 3 people had Rhystics out. Well, Fish and some Rhystics and other stuff. And the deck that won was the deck that can't play Rhystic Study. Yep. We just watched Fishbowl. 2 Tim Nadargos ended up in top 4. Atali also ended up in top 4. What was the other deck?
Kenan.
Evan, Freedom Waffle.
Freedom Waffles.
And I think he was the one that ended up third or fourth place.
He's fourth.
Fourth place, yeah.
Yeah.
So like even then, like not saying anything bad, like that's fucking incredible. 290 something player event, you end up fourth. I'm not shitting on that at all.
Yeah.
But like he was the bottom of those, you know what I mean? Like out of those decks, like not saying that again in any bad way, but his plan is resolve Rhystic Studies. The other deck said, "Fuck it, I'm jamming."
Well, he's the only mid-range deck playing into 3 turbo decks.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that when you show up to a table and there's a fuck ton of mid-range, yes, Rhystic will be a problem. But if there's turbo at the table, your Rhystic Study probably ain't gonna fucking matter. Like, that's why I run such a big and again, it may not be right, but I run so much interaction because I'm just trying to survive long enough to see turn 3. It's like Max said. I want to get to the late game. I don't need to be losing games on turn 2.
But like, I think that adds to like some people will make that argument of like, oh, Rhystic Study is the card right now that keeps all the turbo decks in check, and that is clearly false.
False, yeah.
Right? We are seeing it at these events. Rao don't give a shit. Tali don't give a shit. Rocco don't give a shit. Name some other ones. What else we got on this list?
What would we say? Rao, Rocco, Atali.
Yeah.
Clearly, Dargo Timna doesn't give a fuck.
Dargo Timna don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck. We just saw Gwenum didn't give a shit.
Well, and especially like Gwenum, like especially if like these decks that can run white. Think about that for a second. Think about some of those blue farm lists we covered this week that are running Orum's Chant right now and like Flame Scroll Celebrant, and now we have like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 6 silence effects in the deck if you could run white, right? Those decks aren't running the Teferi. It's literally the 3 creatures: Ranger Captain, Grand Abolisher, Voice of Victory, Orum's Chant, Silence, and the technically creature, the Flame Scroll Celebrant. Like, these decks are running all 6 potentially silence effects. They don't care if you're fucking running have a Rhystic Study. What happens in the Rocco instance if they jam like there's no blue decks at the table except for this like blue farm player that has all these value engines, but they don't have the counterspell in that moment for the Orum's Chant, and then Rocco just goes off.
Yep.
Like,
try your whole deck. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Same. Like so it's just like these decks are going faster than what Rhystic Study puts in work for. I think that the main things that I kind of, for me at least, have me against Rhystic Study, and I'd almost be okay with a ban on it, is that it's the negligent play patterns and the draws.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with stack battles and things like that, but when the board is getting so bogged down with all these triggers and it's hard for everyone to keep track of, and we're going into like a 30 minutes of just trying to resolve like these interactions and just this one stack, that is kind of a problem. Now, with where things are in the format, like obviously if people are like have that awareness, they go, I'm going to respond to all the draws. I'm going to keep jamming on top of things. Like that's just how you get around it. If you are in that position and in the driver's seat to be able to just jam and go, and it could win on top of whatever those triggers are that are going off, and they just get buried more and more down there. But it's that's kind of my thing with Rhystic Study at the moment, and not aside from the fact that I play a deck that just doesn't really want to draw cards all that much, but like I think that it prolongs the game too much.
Yeah.
And that's I think one of the big things that we have seen this year that is driving people away from our format. People that might want to get into a higher power thing, or they're experiencing that power creep and they're like, "Oh, I want to do this." But then they see these games go to 3+ hours and they go, I don't think I want to do that at a tournament.
Yeah,
even though they'll sit there and play like a 6-hour game of casual.
That's what I was about to say. I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, though, because how many times, I mean, you literally heard whenever my buddy came over and we were recording a cEDH game and the timer went off and they were like, what's that? And we were like, oh, that's the 80-minute timer where we hit time in the round. And they're like, 80 minutes? And we're like, yeah, like there's no winner yet. And they were like, I thought that this shit ended on like turn 1, turn 2. And we're like, no.
We all have like 5 lands out here. It made it past turn 1 or 2.
Yeah.
2.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't know. Like I said, I'm totally okay with a Rhystic ban. I don't want anybody to be like, oh, Blake's defending Rhystic Study because his whole fucking deck's built around Rhystic Study. I'll fucking cope. It's fine.
You'll just jam the Necropotence and
yeah. Dude, there's still other there's combos with Zur. They're not great, but like I mean Heliod Ballista.
You'll add Lava Spur boots.
I will. I'll put Lava Spur in. I'll put fucking the Greaves in. Right? Yeah. Is that the 0 equip 0?
Yeah.
I always forget. It's like that, and then like Swiftfoot boots. I always forget the difference.
Those are iconic cards. Why don't we talk about those cards being on the chopping block?
Busted. But no, like I really I would do that. Hell, I'd fucking play a stack Zur if I had to. I know it would be terrible, but it'd be funny. But yeah, seriously, like I just think that I don't know. I think that I can definitely see the problem with like Rhystic Study, and I'm not saying that Rhystic Study is not a problem because I definitely can see like where it's a problem. If you want me to be really honest, man, and I'm not to like totally derail the conversation either because I know we're probably like getting towards the wrap up point, but like honestly, I've thought a lot about what 2 cards I would ban in the format. I don't think I'd ban Rhystic Study, and I really don't think I would ban Breach or any of that shit. Like I like the powerful cards in the format. I don't even know. I know people hated Dockside, and I get it. I don't even know that I would have banned Dockside. I like, me personally, as a cEDH player, I like cards that, like, do well in this type of a format. Yeah. I don't like 60 card, really. Like, I'll play Pauper and stuff like that, but I don't play Standard, Modern, and all this other shit. Nothing against people that like 60 card. I don't play that stuff because I like the social aspect. I like the 4-player aspect. It's fun. It throws a wrench in the plans. It's like, oh, I've played, dude. I get it. I used to tournament grind Yu-Gi-Oh. I know what it's like to play competitive like card games, and I get it. People go, oh, I shouldn't lose a game because of what somebody else did. Like I get it. I'm totally with you on that. It fucking sucks. It pisses me off. Like when something happens, I like put my fucking hood up and I'm just like motherfucker. But I like cards that break parity on the fact that you have multiple opponents. Things like Smothering Tithe, love it. Things like Rhystic Study, love it. Fish, love it. Esper Sentinel, love it. Fucking like Dockside, loved it. Love all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not saying that I think it should all be like no ban list commander or anything like that, because that would be miserable.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. Have you ever played no ban list commander?
No.
Fucking awful. It's actually really bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But so like I'm not saying that like we need like no ban list commander, but I don't know. I think that I like cards like that. I think if there was anything that I would ban, I think that I would ban Brain Freeze. And I've told you this before. I would ban Brain Freeze because I think it makes the breach lines a little too easy. And like that's actually a card that you need like one fucking spell to be able to interact with it. And if you don't have that one spell, you're cooked.
Yeah.
Like it's Mind Break Trap or bust. I mean, sure you can use like I don't know why I can't even talk. Flusterstorm, they'll just fucking recast it again.
Yeah.
It's in the graveyard.
Mind Break Trap, too.
Yeah, like, you need Mind Break Trap. And even Mind Break Trap gets fucking countered.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to basically have... So, I would ban that. And honestly, I'd ban Orcish Bowmaster. Because I honestly think that one of the things that's hurting a lot... the thing that's helping Turbo out so much is that a lot of the, like, crazy stacksy strategies get shut down so hard by like all this like hard creature like onboard hate. Like Magda would probably be a lot better if OBM was not. Magda would be way better if OBM was not in the format. A lot of these Staxier decks would be a lot better if OBM was not in the format, and I think that would obviously slow the turbo decks down, and then you would actually finally have the rock paper scissors game again. Even Ian, I think, talked about that in his video that he would just like ban Orcish Bowmaster.
As far as Bowmaster being the problem, like, but like,
and
that even goes back to that Rhystic point though. Like if you think about it, like comparing Rhystic and Orcish Bowmaster for a second, in their places currently in the meta, like a lot of people are just like trying to like resolve the value engine and then copy the value engine. Okay, who can resolve the Orcish Bowmaster kind of last? If you think about it, like who could resolve the final Bowmaster and then get multiple copies of it, and they just control the table, right? And like I love the point that he even made of like the thing with OBM in particular, and it again going back to that Rhystic point that I made, the negligence. I think that like he made this comment of like what tends to happen with OBM is that you shut down the player A's board that has all these dorks and all these creatures and things like that, and you kind of lock them out of the game, but then you don't punish the person that's actually drawing the cards into the win.
Yeah.
And that is a huge problem. And so I feel like it kind of goes back to that idea of like negligent play patterns.
Yeah, but see, at that point, I think OBM plus Rhystic is just basically like Necropotence. That's all it is. All day, I'll trade a life total for a card. All day. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but it's like, again, that's kind of that point of like, it just kind of depends on where you're at in the game at that point in time. Because like if...
Go ahead, say what you're going to say.
Like, if you're going to have two, you know... There's going to be a point like in that stack battle, it's just like, hey, this person is actively presenting the win. Let's both resolve our OBMs, and then off all the draws now, we're gonna direct all that points of damage and then remove everything from the stack because that person is just out of the game. Unless you're Blake, of course, and you just Angel's Grace your way out of any situation.
Let's fucking go.
It's his trump card and his clutch card and a crutch card, not clutch.
I like how you said it's the trump card. It's
he literally like ban that fucking card because people that play Angel's Grace don't deserve space.
I resolved back-to-back split-second cards in that tournament.
That feels.
Matt Hayes, like the GOAT. He literally was like play trick bind and like back-to-back. I fucking resolved an Angel's Grace and somebody was like fuck, and then after that, it was gonna like end up being something else that I needed to do, and I said trick bind, and they said, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, yeah, like,
oh buddy,
like, can we just ban playing bad cards? Can we do that,
brother? We're not playing bad cards. We're playing with power. We're not playing with power. We're casting cEDH.
Yeah. I hate every little bit of what you just said, but like I agree with Ian's point though, in that I think that one, Bowmaster should probably go away. I think, and I don't say that because I play Sisse and I play a lot of dorks and like I don't want to draw cards anyway. Like I play Kenna, I play a little bit of everything, but like the thing is that it goes exactly into what you're saying. Like you ban that card and you open up a lot more strategies, like some of these like Abzan Staxy decks, whether it be Tyam or the Timna Kodama like Stacks deck, or like Winota. Seeing Winota right now against some of these turbo decks might actually be like fucking gas. Like that would be really good. But like you just don't see it because of Bowmaster. Like the thing with Rhystic Study is that it was a card that was never intended to be in this format. Like, obviously, like, what, Prophecy, I think, is whenever it was printed. Like...
Wasn't Ice Age?
Huh?
Wasn't Ice Age?
Nah, I think it's in Prophecy. Anyway, that's...
Go ahead.
Whatever. Like, back then, like, this was not a format, right? This was not something that was supposed to be there. You were talking about liking all these cards that really break parity on the format, like Smothering Tithe and things like that. Like, Commander has been around long enough now since the printing of some of those cards and Wizards knew better and they still did it anyway. Like, that's what people will argue with even Dockside. Like, even though Dockside was Commander specific, they saw it, like, there's a reason why it got banned, you know? And from a design perspective, even though, again, I play Sisse and that used to be Dockside.deck, I can understand why a lot of people don't want it back in particular, because it was just, oh, everyone's going to play Dockside now. Everyone's going to play a Dockside deck. Then we converted over to, oh, everyone's going to play a Rhystic Study deck because we're safe from Dockside. If you want to truly shake up the format, you can make the argument that Rhystic would be a really good ban, but then you have these decks that are just going to lean heavier into Necropotence and other engines. And then you're going to make it to where, like, people are still doing, like, Mystic Remora, or they're going to try to find as many other ways as they possibly can to draw cards.
Oh, yeah, I will.
And you still, like, the issue is still there. It just looks a little different.
Yeah.
Bowmaster, again, I think is kind of one of those cards that it should not have been designed the way it is. It's too efficient, too good at what it does, and it shuts off a lot of viable strategies right now. And with that being said, just as much as we kind of talked about Thassa's being a card that if you banned it, Blue Farm would just adapt to it. What? We just covered Jason's list on Wednesday. He wasn't even running Bowmaster in his Blue Farm list. Decks are already starting to cut it as a way of trying to find ways of either going faster or things like that, just because of where we're at in the meta. Bowmasters doesn't really punish some of the turbo decks, but it punishes the ones that keep the turbo decks in check. Mm-hmm. So I do think that would be a good card. I do think Rhystic, as much as, like, I'm kind of, like, agnostic to the card, is kind of like how I like to put it. I don't care if it gets banned. I don't care if it stays. I'll play around it one way or another. But I do think it creates a little bit more issues at times in our space than we want to admit.
Yeah.
People just really love the card and they don't want to see it go, especially whenever they've printed so many different copies of it and Wizards has gotten a lot of money off of those reprints.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like I said, I can absolutely acknowledge that it's problematic, especially at times. But at the same time, like, I play Zer. That's all I got to say.
Rhystic.deck.
Rhystic.deck.
Now, what would really be an issue is if they came out and said, everyone that's in Seat 4 gets to have Rhystic Study on the battlefield. Before they get turn 0, Rhystic Study.
I would volunteer.
Only for Seat 4.
I'd yell out loud, volunteers tribute. Like Katniss.
Because that's a bigger discussion for a different day. And I might have some interesting takes on some of that. But we want to know what your interesting takes are. Sorry, I'm kind of
what if they get a
going
fish?
Into this. Huh?
What if they get a fish?
No, they wouldn't be able to pay for it.
Exactly. So it just
unless they have like Elder Spirit Guide or Simian.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They just get fish.
Oh God, you would mulligan down until you hit one of the Spirit Guides and
gemstone
or a gemstone hand.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like then like I think that's actually kind of neat because then it like just makes people play around what they're gonna do like turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and then after that the fish is gone and then you just start the game like normal, but you had that slight little boost. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't agree with that.
You double fish.
Most of my wins, believe it or not, are in C4. That's actually crazy, but crazy. I use Play Nice as my tracker, and most of my wins come from C4.
That's because you do nothing but slow down the game.
That's exactly correct, yes.
You got like 2 wins for every 11 draws that you create.
Correct. And they're from C4, damn it. I think most of my draws are probably like C2.
So, I don't know. So, overall... You know, and I was about to go into the whole thing until you made those comments, but I don't think Thassa is a problem. I do think Rhystic can be a problem. It doesn't hurt me if that gets banned. It doesn't really even hurt me if Thassa's gets banned. It's whatever the community decides on and whatever the committee decides on. Because I'm just going to look at the format and go, what do I need to do? That's what I did whenever the first bans happened last year. That's what I'm going to continue to do. because that's how you get better at cEDH, is learn how to adapt to it, and continue to learn from those mistakes that you make, and just try to jam games as much as you can. So other than that, you have anything else you'd like to share with us for today? No.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Yeah, happy Halloween. Yeah, so maybe part of this discussion is a little bit spooky for spooky season, here at the end of it as we as we get closer to the end of the year. But drop it down in the comments below what your thoughts on the potential ban of Rhystic Study and Thassa's Oracle are. And I know we threw out Orcish Bowmaster as like a potential like thing that would be kind of nice to see be banned, because it opens up a lot of strategies. But let us know below what cards you want to see get banned. Let us know what your thoughts on some of the things that are going on in the format are, or maybe what are really the more important discussions that we should be having in the cEDH space, because I have a lot of different opinions that I've made before. Like one of them, like if they push it too far, I kind of see where maybe this is the catalyst, like something like this could be a catalyst of the split. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It'd be a very interesting thing. But if the format were to split because of things like this, well, I don't know. It doesn't bother me any. I'm going to adapt, like I said. So until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and as always,
go play some cEDH.